This is Work and Learn Abroad. Welcome to this new episode of Work and Learn Abroad. Today we have Sean. He has worked in the US and he's from Ireland originally. And please let us know if you got any questions after this show to any of the previous episodes or this one. Welcome, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Leo. Thanks for having me. Very honoured.
Oh, great to have you in the show. So, if we can start by talking a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Sean. I'm born and raised in Ireland. I'm 34 this year. Wow.
Long way.
Yeah. I have a wife and 2 kids now. I worked abroad in the US. Mostly I have been to a lot of other countries and done a bit of work in other countries, but mostly my experience would be living and working in the US.
And what was your primary idea about going abroad? And what time did this idea started to be in your mind?
Okay, so my primary motivation was when I was in college. I done J1 every year, my summer. Okay. I worked in summer camps.
Yeah, maybe, but for the people that doesn't know about that, what does
years?
It mean? No, what does it mean, G1?
Oh, a J1?
Yeah.
A J1 is a summer exchange program for students.
Okay, great.
So you get to go and spend 3 months in the US and work and live and party.
Okay.
When you're in college, because you don't have much money in college, so the J1 experience, you get somebody to pay for your ticket and stuff, and you go over and you work for that person.
Yeah, okay.
And then you do the work for them, and then at the end of the summer, you get like 4-5 weeks to travel.
Okay.
So, I did that every summer, but I worked in the same place every summer.
Oh, okay. So you started at the once that you got into college, you find out about the J1, and then you just applied, and then that's it.
I applied to through a company, and they got me a job in a summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year, they done everything for me, organised everything for me, my flights, my accommodation, my job, everything. But then once I was there and I worked the first summer there, I worked as a soccer coach.
Okay.
And
this is your first time abroad?
This is my first time abroad. This is in 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it would have been the summer of 2005.
And how do you feel about going abroad?
I was excited.
Okay.
I'd been abroad as with my parents on holidays, but never on my own as a cultural or work experience.
Okay. So
I was very excited to do that on my own. I was 19.
Yeah. Okay.
So
nice. Yeah.
I was ready to
explore the world. And you packed your stuff, and then you got your tickets, and
so that was all done by a company, and that was my first year. I went and I worked in the summer camp. It was in New Hampshire.
Okay.
In the middle of a forest.
Okay.
And it was a great experience. No Wi-Fi, no mobiles.
Nice.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You just with nature, and it was beautiful, and I loved it. So then once I'd done that first year, the next 3 years, when I was doing my undergrad and my postgrad, I spent the summers in the same summer camp, but I organised it myself.
Okay.
I organised my own J1, which is a type of visa.
Yep.
I don't know if that was clear. A type of visa and my own flights, and they had my accommodation and food and stuff. And then when I was over every year, I'd travel to different parts of the US.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of my summer of working, I'd travel to different areas and experience different areas for my last, say, 4 or 5 weeks of travel, when I'd saved all my money, and I'd travel in different parts of the US.
Okay. So while you were there, the only thing that you were doing was as a football coach?
I was a summer camp.
Okay. So
and I was head of their soccer program for.
I imagine that the first time that you did it, and the following times was easier because you were there before. But how was that first time getting into a new country and trying to sort things out?
The administration beforehand can be a little daunting.
Okay.
Where you have to go to the embassy. You have to explain to the embassy, the US embassy, that you're going for this reason. You'll be returning to your own country. And that can be a little bit daunting if you've never done it before. So that was a little bit daunting. But then you get your flights, and once you know where you're going, but even if you don't know where you're going, that can be part of the fun.
Yeah.
Because I know I can talk about working in the summer camps on those summers, And after the first year, I knew where I was going. I knew what I was doing. But the best part was at the end of the summer, I didn't really have a plan. I just had a region of the US that I might want to go to and just explore. And I just take a flight there and I just spend my time there and travel around on my own and not know where I was going day to day. So,
do you have any kind of cultural shock, even that English was your native language? Then going to the States, do you have any kind of cultural shock or?
Yeah, I mean, like it's so much more built up. It's such a bigger country, and people are a lot more open to talking to you.
Okay.
Compared to Irish people. Irish people will be a lot more. We talk about Ireland being friendly, and we are friendly. If people talk to us, we're very friendly. But I find American people to be they just approach you.
Oh, okay.
Like a good example was I was on a train from Washington DC to somewhere in Florida. I forget. Okay. I forget where I was going. This is 15 years ago. And I had my earphones in. And I was just listening to some music, and this guy just started talking to me about his life story.
Oh.
Like I didn't know him. He didn't introduce himself. He just started talking to me, and then I had to take my earphones out of my ear and just say, "Are you talking to me?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Oh okay." And then it ended up I had a conversation with this guy for an hour.
Wow.
And he told me about his divorce from his wife and all these like intricate details. And I was like, "Okay." So in Ireland you would never experience that.
Okay.
People just wouldn't randomly talk to you on a train. So I found that a little bit. I was like, "Oh, okay. This is different," because it's not in Ireland. People are a bit more probably closed off.
Yeah.
Not closed off. If you strike up a conversation with somebody in Ireland, they're very friendly. They talk to you. Yep. But they just don't openly spark a conversation about their personal life.
Yes. Yeah.
So I found that I found a little bit strange.
Okay.
That was the one thing that I found that sort of sparked in me that I thought was a little bit strange.
And you said that you did it a couple of times. So why did once that you were there, so coming the next time was not going to add that much growth, or did it add growth?
So the first year, I was new to it, and I was a bit, I suppose, hesitant and a little bit scared after I'd finished about where I was going to travel and what I was going to do, because I was only 19. And, you know, I was over there on my own. I didn't go with a group of friends, because I know a lot of people go on J1s and they go with a big group of friends to, say, maybe somewhere like San Diego or New York. Yeah. But I went to the middle of a forest in New Hampshire. And again, afterwards I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And I sort of planned it out about exactly how I was going to spend my weeks after the camp. But then the second, third, fourth time I was like, I'm not bothered. I'll just do it. I'll just go and see what I want, and if it takes my fancy, I'll go there. If I don't want to go there, I won't go there. And I was a bit more relaxed about it, and because I'd done it the year before, I was more relaxed now. I was I knew that I could do it. Yeah. And I knew that, oh well, it's an English speaking country, it's fine. It would be fine, yeah. It's fine anyway. So I like, that's why I think maybe it set me up a little bit better, in that I went to an English speaking country. I think if it was in a country that didn't speak English, I might be a little bit more overwhelmed by it. Yeah. But it was fine. Yeah. So after I'd done that, and then my main motivation for moving there for a period of time was that I handed in, I don't know if this is of interest to people that are listening, I handed in my thesis for my master's degree. Okay. I handed it in on, I don't know the exact dates, I could probably Google it, but the dates were around about, we'll say, the 15th of September 2008, probably. And about 2 days later, the bank guarantee from the Irish government was put in place. So essentially there was a banking collapse in Ireland. Wow. And the crisis, the meltdown crisis. That's when the recession happened. So I handed in my master's thesis, and 2 days later a banking crisis happened and a recession hit. Yeah. And then who needs somebody with a master's degree in geographic information systems? Yeah. Not I can tell you here and now, not a lot of people. Yeah. Not a lot of companies were employing. And I was part of a cohort. Like I think from my graduating class, there was 25 people in my graduating class, only one got a job.
Yeah.
10 emigrated, and maybe about the other 10 or 12 probably went on to do further studies. I think 10 or 12 of them went on to do teaching, to become teachers, because I think they seen that as okay, in a year and a half's time they'll still need teachers, even if the recession lasts a long time.
Because it's a safe way to be at that moment.
Yeah, so they went from having a master's degree in information systems to going on to do teaching.
So you were there, the crisis was in the middle, everything was Lehman Brothers were collapsing, the world was collapsing.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.
Yes, all
everything.
of this was happening. I remember I was in the UK at the moment. And so how did you approach the moment? Because you were thinking, okay, I need to do something. People are going abroad, people are staying.
Yeah.
So what's your mental process about solving this time?
So I went through like everything in my mind about what I wanted to do, and I thought back to, well, I worked in the States during my my college years. Next summer at work, so this was September, and I said, okay, I'll spend a year. I actually had to move home with my parents.
Okay. Yeah. It's understandable.
And I said, okay, maybe I'll spend a year trying to apply for funding for a PhD. And my parents said, okay, we'll let you take on with that, but in the meantime, try and look at other opportunities and see what you want to do, or where you want to go, or how you want to do it. So I spent some time trying to get some funding for a PhD, and the only funding that was coming up that would have been possible was something that I didn't really want to do. It was to do a PhD. It was in geography on the EU and participation and being in and out. Probably very relevant now with Brexit.
No, well, yeah.
Would have been quite relevant. But I didn't want to do that. It was kind of boring. But it was the only opportunity that might have fallen my way, and I said, okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that.
Okay. And how many months or days has passed?
Okay, so this happened in September, so this was probably now around, because funding for most PhDs becomes available between November and January, February, so that you get the funding and then you start the next year.
Yeah.
The following September.
Yeah.
So this was probably around Christmas time,
okay.
2008.
Okay.
I would say.
So were you having a good time, or were you?
I mean, I was just after handing in. I'd spent 6 months writing my master's thesis, and then I was kind of okay with being at home and being no responsibility. My parents were okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like I wasn't doing anything. I was getting up every day, and I was working on a PhD application, which if you've never tried it, it's really annoying and really hard.
Yeah, I tried.
Because you have to do all the funding and you write all your proposal and stuff. Yeah. So I was doing that, and I was keeping myself active, mind active, and I was also looking for probably some part-time jobs around my area, but there wasn't very much going. But I still did some work. Like I had friends that worked in like landscaping and building, and if they needed somebody to help them out, a little bit of labouring, I was doing that.
Okay.
I was helping them out. But that was my focus then. It was after Christmas that I decided, okay, I think I'm going to try and move abroad.
Okay. So what did you do?
I set the wheels in motion in that with my soccer coaching when I was in the States for the summer camp, I'd met some people and they had links to a soccer club in the States. I'm not going to mention the soccer club.
No.
And they had links to it to say, okay, they might have a coaching opportunity.
Yep.
For you to go over.
Okay.
And I said, okay, well, so I applied and I put myself forward, and I have what's the equivalent? I have my UEFA Youth Cert.
Okay.
Which is that's the coaching badge just below getting your your UEFA B, because it goes all your different levels. I have the UEFA Youth Cert, so I can coach up to under 18s.
Okay.
I can't coach men's teams. That's UEFA B, UEFA A, and then so.
Well, you got the certificates, certifications,
but I just done that because I was interested. I played a lot of soccer and I was interested in it, so I'd done that, and they were happy that was a good qualification, and I said, okay, I'll take the opportunity, and
went abroad.
And I went abroad in April.
What's it different than doing just the summertime?
Yeah, it was a big, because I was obviously getting sponsored.
Yep.
It's a 2-year visa.
Okay.
I forget the name of the visa.
Do you have to do more stuff because when you're doing the summer,
Yes.
like
Yes.
you get everything sorted, right? So I imagine. I mean, you can tell me now, like it's going to be different.
It's a lot different, and you have to prove. You have to prove that you're going over for the exact job. You have the sponsorship, that everything's in order. It was kind of easier in a way,
Yep.
in that because of the type of visa you're getting.
Yep.
That it's very hard for you to illegally go there.
Yeah.
And the embassy is a little bit more like, oh, you're getting this visa, that's okay.
Okay.
We sign you off. They don't ask you an awful lot of questions.
Yeah. So you get to the States and you being there, you get your flat sorter, and then you start to go to work, and you were going to be there for 2 years. So what's your plan? What's going on inside your mind at this time?
So what's going on in my mind is I want to try and maybe build a career, and maybe say, okay, well, I'll give it 2 years, and maybe if circumstances apply, you know, I'll stay, and maybe I might make a life for myself here. And so I get there, and my job entails, the first part of it was coaching, soccer coaching,
Yep.
but then that's also where I learned a lot of what I do now, based on payroll. I learned a bit of it there, and so then I start to have a multifaceted job where I'm coaching, but I'm also doing a heavy administration for the club.
Okay.
Because they see that, like, because a lot of people that they have working for them in terms of being coaches,
Yep.
tend just to have coaching qualifications.
Yeah.
So they said, well, okay, we've got a management program. Do you want to work on our management program? And I thought it was like management of football. But it's more,
like a manager, right?
Yeah, no, but it's not. It was more administration.
Okay.
Management, more club management.
Yeah.
So in terms of like running a payroll, running a.
Is that
all the different
after
aspects.
how long were being in the States?
That was probably after about 4 or 5 months.
Okay. And how do you feel? Like, you feel, well, this more, it will be more money, right? But at the same
money,
time,
but
you're learning some skills, but at the same time,
a lot
you
more
were doing like.
because different parts of the club were in different areas of the state. So what it came down to then, I was given a company car, and I had to drive to these different areas, and along with my coaching, I'd have to go to these areas and like do certain administration tasks, and then all feeding into the central club.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you know how it works in the States.
No.
Kind of like they all have like outlying clubs that feed into like a local club, who then feed into the sort of regional club, who then
Okay.
feed into the bigger club.
Okay.
But it's all paid.
Okay.
You've got your town clubs, you've got your town football, you've got your regional football, all these different things.
So you
feed
need to
into it.
grow. You need to cover like a big area.
Yeah,
to,
so
to,
there would
to
be-
get all to those clubs and get.
I
all
was
the
in
things-
Boston, so let's just put it out there. I was in Boston. I had the South Shore. So if
Okay.
anybody knows sort of Boston, that's like sort of around the south, around Cape Cod.
Okay, like
Right.
how long? Like you would be like 200 kilometers around.
Oh, I'd say from Boston to Cape Cod. Let's just Google it quickly. So we'll just take in that way. But,
And do you feel growing? Or do you feel
it's 70 miles from Boston to Cape
around?
Cod.
Okay.
So probably 140 miles round trip, but that's not taking in all the areas around that. The South Shore is quite big. It kind of goes from Boston to Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want me. I don't know if it's like that area there.
Yeah, it's a big area.
Yeah, it's a big area, and you got some clubs there. So I would have to drive around all these areas, and I was doing about circa in my car, probably about 1,200 miles per week, driving.
Do you feel growing? Like, for how long did you do this? And were you feeling growing, being abroad and doing all of this stuff? Even that the things were like we might be thinking this is 2009, so stuff
It's
are
2009,
still
2010. Yeah.
Yeah, crisis is still on
Yeah.
and
So
things are shaky.
So there was no opportunity still in Ireland. So I was like, going, okay, I got to keep doing this because I'm going back to Ireland. If I go back to Ireland, I'm going back to nothing again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I got to keep with it. And to be honest, Leo, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I began to resent it a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came with the.
Yeah, that start to build on you. So I think like
because I didn't think that I'd miss my family as much.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get an awful lot of time off.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of time off because that's just the regulations in the US. It's like 10 days holidays.
Yeah.
and that began to grind on me. I was like, and what really was one of the sort of the stepping stones, or one of the tipping points, sorry, was that I wanted to go somewhere for 3 days, and they vetoed it. They said I couldn't go. The club said I couldn't go because these tryouts were on and I had to be there. And I was like, well, I want to be at this place.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
Yeah.
I need to be there. I need a holiday. And they vetoed it, and that was around July 2011, maybe. No, it must have been May 2011.
11 already 2011 now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because it was pretty much a year and a half of the same thing, just driving around,
Okay.
doing the whole same thing, and it began to it was grinding on me. I hated it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was at one stage.
You stopped to enjoy being abroad, and you stopped to enjoy,
Well, I
or you
stopped
just
enjoying
stopped enjoying the work, the job, or were you stopped enjoying being abroad and far away from home?
I stopped enjoying. Well, I hated the job. The people I was dealing with, I began to resent them. But I think that might have been as an extra based on my resentment for the work.
Yeah.
So I began to resent the people.
Yeah, you were not feeling your like this is your path.
Yeah, no, that's what it came to. I was like going, like, I'm not going to be happy here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a life that I enjoy here. And then I tried to look about maybe moving roles within the States. And when you're there on a certain type of visa, it's very hard. You have to come home first. You have to come home first. And I was thinking, and then I was like, if I'm going to come home, I'm going to come home. And I'm going to be done with it. Like, so again, I don't know if this, like this podcast is talking about whether people, enjoyed their time abroad or if they hated it.
People just share their story.
So to be honest, my story would be that I look back on it and I don't have a lot of fond memories of it.
Okay.
I don't really. And I don't know if it's related to the job I was doing or to the thing that always grinds me is the amount of hours I was driving. So the hours driving were never really taken part as part of your job.
Yep.
So that wasn't your hours worked for the week.
Yeah.
But if you drive 1,200 miles, think of how long it takes to drive 1,200 miles in 1 week. And then they would expect you to be working Saturdays and Sundays as well. It was 7 days a week, 6.5 days a week. With very little downtime.
Well, let's see. It was okay for the internship or for summer. That was fine. It's a good experience. You were having fun, enjoying the country, right? Because it was not related to your professional growth. Now that when you were facing a hard time and then you were going or doing it for another reasons, right?
Yes.
And things start to become not what you wanted as your career-wise, right?
Yes.
So what advice could you provide to the people who might be in a situation like you? Where?
I hope you might be in a situation where you have some family. Because the first thing that I did when I began to feel... The tipping point for me, Leo, was I was driving in my car one day and I was so tired and so stressed out and it was lucky it was the time of day that it was. It was like 5:30, 6 in the morning because I had to be somewhere for 7 a.m.
Wrecked,
driving, and I drove through a crossing.
Yeah.
Didn't see a stop sign and drove right through a crossing and didn't get hit, touch wood, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then once I got through the crossing, I braked and went, holy.
Yeah.
I just went through a crossing. No. I could have been killed there.
Yeah.
And it was just because I was in such a mind blur.
Yeah.
That it was all phasing into one. And at that stage, then after that day, it was actually at the end of that day that I Skyped my parents, and I'm not going to say I broke down, but that's when I sort of admitted to them that
this is not working.
This isn't working for me. Like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not going to do it long term, and it's making me very unhappy, and I can't just do it just because there's no work at home, and I can't just do it just because it's something to do.
Yep.
I said I can't do it anymore. Now, my parents are very, very, very supportive, and so I Skyped them and I spoke to them and they said, come home, don't hang around. They said, because it's not going to do you any good and it's not going to do your mental health any good. Come home, because at least then at home you've got support. You've got a support network that you don't have abroad. When you're abroad, you can be it's very much insular, because if you go abroad without, say, even a girlfriend or a group of friends, and you're on your own, it's very hard. Like, I mean, I met some lovely people and I made some good friends.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And you want to be able to speak to people openly, and it can be very hard. So.
And then once that you came back, Sean, like, well, you got your ideas and everything.
I came back in July 2011.
How do you feel when you came back?
Relieved.
Okay.
It was a big relief. It was very, very much.
Was it tough to get back into your feet and getting like a job? And it was not that as problematic as you were thinking would be coming back.
I came home in July. I think it was the week after. I stayed in the States for Independence Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Independence Weekend, and because I went straight away, and I resigned straight away, and as soon as you resign, your visa's null and void. You have 10 days to leave the country.
Yeah.
So, So I was like, okay, I'll be gone in the country, but I wanted to stay for Independence.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed for Independence Weekend, and it was great crack. And then I went home, and I flew home, and it was a relief. I got home, and I was just relieved to be at home. And so I think that was around about the 10th or 11th of July. And then I turned 20th of August. I turned 26.
Okay.
26?
Yep.
I turned 26, and I already had a job in Dublin again.
Okay, so it was not that bad.
But it wasn't anything related to my field of work. It was I took a job as a teacher.
Okay.
Coaching soccer again.
Yeah. Okay. But you were feeling different, even though it was not.
It was a relief. I was happy just to do it because I wanted to get out of my parents' house as quick as possible, because I'd been used to that little bit of independence, and get back to Dublin. So I got a job, house in Dublin, and it sort of, that was the end of my experience abroad.
Will you do it again?
Would I go abroad again?
Yeah.
In the situation that I'm in now.
Yes. Now you're no.
Or looking back in hindsight.
Well, we were. There are two things that I would like to know about this experience of yours. Like, will you go again, and and the other thing is, what will you do different? Will you knowing what you know now, what advice could you provide to that, Sean? So if we can cover those two.
Okay. Would I do it again?
Yeah.
No, because I'm married and have 2 kids, Leo, so I can't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if the opportunity was there for me and my wife and my 2 kids to move somewhere for possibly a year, to share an experience somewhere else, working in what I work in now, yes,
yeah,
100% I would take the opportunity and give my wife and my children that experience. Yeah. But it would be there. I'd be there with my wife and kids. Yes. It would be a different experience.
And doing the thing that you love. Well,
doing something that I enjoy.
Yeah, and that you could actually grow.
Yes, absolutely. I would. Yes.
Yeah.
If the opportunity was there to do something that I love, yes, with my wife and kids, absolutely. Looking back in hindsight,
you go back in time. You see Sean there right before leaving the country in the middle of the crisis, the meltdown. So what advice could you provide to that guy?
Do it, but don't stake your life on it.
Okay.
That would be the advice that because I think I put my heart into it too much, and that this was going to be my life now. Yes. This is going to be my change, and I may never come back to Ireland.
Yeah, this is for good.
This is for good, because people that left Ireland in the 80s, including my uncle who lived in New York, who I seen a bit when I was over there. He left Ireland in the same instance a recession hit. He left and he never came back. Yeah. He lives in New York now. Yeah. And I thought, okay, this is me. This is I could be.
This is my time.
This is it.
Yeah.
I'm going and I may never come back.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that, but I suppose that might have been a part that might have added to my grievance, in that it wasn't.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And I had to accept that it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and be okay with it.
Yes, that's important.
And I was, as soon as I came home, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I accepted that, okay, I'm going home. Now my choices are, when I go home, is to go to Australia and work in Australia like a lot of people were doing.
Yep.
Or stay in Ireland and try and make my life in Ireland. And it means maybe starting on the lowest of the low, which I did when I got my job in Dublin in August 2011. I got a low job. It wasn't very well paid, but it was a job. It was something to do. It got me out of my parents' house.
Yep.
Got me to Dublin. And from there, it was a stepping stone to my next job. And then my next job. And then...
And keep going. Sean, if there is someone at this moment that is listening to the show and is maybe working abroad, not having a good time, or maybe not feeling the path in their way, what advice could you provide to them?
Don't suffer in silence. I think I suffered for too long.
Okay.
I was maybe 3 or 4 months where I didn't tell anybody how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it really made me really upset.
Why didn't you do it? Like, you were
Proud.
feeling proud, yeah.
Too proud to tell people that I think I failed.
Uh-huh.
That I've gone abroad and I failed. See, people don't see it as that now. Because
Yeah.
maybe people go abroad now as a cultural exchange, as a cultural opportunity, and that, okay, yeah, they may have the job that they like,
Yeah.
but it may not be, going where they want it to go, and then they just sort of, they stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because it's what they think they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was probably a little bit too proud for too long to say, okay, I think this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've failed.
Yeah.
But it's not a failure.
It's
an experience.
It's experience,
See,
yeah.
now when I look back, I can say, okay, that's an experience. I grew from that.
Yeah.
I know now who I am and how I got here.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay. It's okay to make executive decisions
Mm-hmm.
that involve your life. So if you want to just stop and go home,
It's fine, yeah.
I think it's fine. And a big part of it is a good support network of family and friends.
Any last advice for the people that are listening to the show?
If you're over traveling and working, experience it all, enjoy every bit of it, open your heart to everything. But if you're not happy, be okay to say you're not happy. That would be my advice.
Yeah.
Because I think I just waited too long.
Yeah.
I was too proud, but yeah, no, I'm much happier now.
Yeah, I think one of the points that you're saying is that people kind of think that it's only happening to me. Like, I'm the one that is not feeling fine being abroad.
Because
and then you close yourself, and there, when we feel the things is the more personal thing in your life, sometimes it's the thing that is happening to many people.
Yeah, no, I like a good example that I can go back to, because I've worked in the summer camps. This is a great example, and it applies to life. I know we have to finish up soon, but this is a good. When I worked in the summer camps, starting off, we were working with 7-year-old kids who were coming to summer camp, stay over summer camp for 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being 7 years old and having to leave your family for 7 weeks.
Wow, that's a...
And they experience real homesickness that you think that you won't experience as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go abroad, you will feel that, because you're just as alone. And 7-year-old kids, whether you're 7, 17, 70, it doesn't matter. You can feel homesickness. You can feel a sense of abandonment, but you're not alone. You are not alone. People, if you open up and talk to people, but again, my cautious bit there would be, I think you have to open up to the right people.
That's true.
You have to be very, very, very secure that this person or these peoples are the people that you want to open up to.
Great. Thank you for being in the show, Sean.
Thank you, Leo, for having me. It was.
And if the people want to contact you some way, is there a way to contact you?
Yeah, contact me through Leo.
Great.
Leave a comment on his website, or leave a comment on this podcast, and if they want to ask me some questions, I'm very happy to answer anything.
Great. And for contacting me, it's leonardo.martin@pm.me. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Leo.
This is Work and Learn Abroad.